Hey there, I'm Brie Stockwell, and this is The Complete Creative, the podcast for passionate creatives and visionaries who want it all: meaningful work, epic ideas, and a beautiful life. Around here, we ditch the hustle, get intentional, and make space for success that actually feels good. Hey everyone, welcome back. This is going to be so fun today because today I have my first guest with me. So, to introduce her, I want to just read her bio, and this is my first guest. I'm feeling really strange about it because I normally do other things in my other podcasts when I have guests, but this is what I decided we're going to do today. So I want to introduce you to her, or her to you, with her bio. So here we go. Hannah Sucsy, aka T Scarlett. You can find her as TTEA Scarlett on Instagram that way. So go ahead, get in your phones, find her right now. Is a self-taught acrylic painter wildly pursuing her passion in a way that ignites and empowers others to pursue theirs. She creates with glorious chaos. That's amazing. That invites collectors and fellow creatives to connect with art in a transformative way. In addition to being a full-time artist, gallery owner, and community art activist, she is a single mother of 4. After almost 20 years as a wife and stay-at-home mom, Hannah is facing the challenges of being a business owner head-on while creating a life for herself and her kids that is abundant, joyful, and free. Amazing. And that's what I want to talk about: how you created that, and the crazy ways that you created that, and all the things. So welcome, Hannah.
All the glorious chaos.
I just thought I would read it because then you don't have to be like, "Hi, I am Hannah. I am an artist." But,
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So you guys, how this happened is Hannah and I are in we say like a coaching group together. And she was like, I want to talk on more podcasts about how I created these things using. And honestly, I never heard this before, and not kidding. Like sometimes I think to myself, oh, I'm delusional, but I literally never heard the phrase Delulu is the Solulu. And now I can never not hear it. Like it's everywhere.
Right.
So this is going to be really fun because I think as artists, as visionaries, as creators, I think we have to be more than a little delusional to do what we do, because so often we're not seeing the example of what's possible in front of us. We have to like create it ourselves and then use delusional thinking to get ourselves where we want to be.
So true. This is not a path laid out like a lot of other courses or careers. So just make it up as we go.
Okay, so let's just go all the way back. And I want to talk about that moment that really felt delusional for you. Like that you were like, this is crazy and I'm doing it.
I think the first thing that I can pinpoint as delusional was when I was designing my ex-husband's dental office. I had this idea of the artwork that I wanted. I was working to create this space that felt amazing, that was not sterile, that was not intimidating. It felt warm and welcoming and beautiful. And so I was looking for artwork. I remember thinking to myself, surely I will be able to find an artist who is creating this type of thing. And I had this idea in my mind. I wanted it to feel local. I wanted it to feel like it belongs here in North Idaho without being the standard elk, moose, and deer photos or paintings that are everywhere. And I love maps. So I had this idea of combining this abstract maps and landscape, and somehow just very much feeling like this place and I couldn't find it. I really thought this existed somewhere. And so I bought a great big 4-foot square canvas. I was like, well, I'm going to make it because I can't find it. And before that, I had not been painting. I had done almost zero art for more than 15 years before that. I had done a couple little paintings that it was just for play, just for me, just for myself, But that was delusional to think that, oh, I'm not a painter or an artist, and yet I'm going to create this painting to go in this office. And yeah, my ex-husband, then husband at the time, laughed and said, well, I guess when it doesn't turn out, we can go buy something after. And I mean, to be fair, it wasn't like I had a track record of creating art for dental offices. So, yeah, his laughter and doubt was logical, and I was delusional, and I did it anyway.
And he didn't get it. He didn't get the vision. It can still happen even with the delusional, the big grandiose ideas. So take me back. Have you I know you said you didn't paint for 15 years, but have you always been interested in art, or was it something that you just kind of played around with and maybe bubbled to the surface later?
As a kid, I loved art. I loved creating. I did a lot of pencil and charcoal drawings. I discovered charcoal and pen and ink when I was a teenager and was always creating something. I remember I got my first set of acrylic paints for my 9th birthday and was immediately just angry that I couldn't create a masterpiece right off my first time working with acrylic paint. And I feel like I did a little bit with that paint set, but I really didn't paint as a kid or teenager. I did other forms of art. And so then was a stay-at-home mom and didn't create art in the sense of going and drawing a picture or working on something. My art really was raising my kids, making homemade Play-Doh with them, and playing in the mud. That was my art. Yes. So I think your question about did it just bubble to the surface? There's really a lot about that. So I went through a very painful time, had a couple surgeries, spent a lot of time in a lot of physical and emotional pain. And during that time, my art did start to bubble to the surface. And when I started painting, it sort of cracked this thing open of oh, I can express myself in a way that's not necessarily right or wrong. There's not words to it. It's just color. And now I see, okay, that's abstract expressionism. I didn't know that term at the time, and I didn't know that that's what I was doing.
It sounds like you used partly the painting to as a way to heal, or as a way to as an outlet for maybe the emotions. I know a lot of us do this. We use art for us, not just pretty pictures for other people to hang on their walls or in the dental office or whatever, but as a way to really express ourselves and to use it as a tool for us and our healing. I'm always super curious about, and I've noticed this in myself too. I'm like, what is it about that? I'm so interested in this moment at the dentist's office, with the dentist's office, that you were yeah, because you could have been oh, I'm just going to try it and see. And I want to know, did you really feel inside yeah, I'm doing this? Do you know what I'm talking about? What was this really like, that internal thing that made you move forward and kept you pushing forward to create the piece?
For that piece itself, it was a very specific vision. Mm-hmm. And I felt like, I started painting. I didn't know how to paint. It's not like I had learned it in the past and it had just been a while and I was rusty. No, I didn't know how to paint. And So I spent like over 100 hours on that painting, which now bringing my vision to life would take far less time. But I didn't know how to get what was in my head onto the canvas. And so for that painting, it didn't feel like, oh, I'm doing this big significant thing. It was just sort of stubbornness and scrappiness. Like, like I can't find what I want, so I'm going to go out there and make it. I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to figure it out.
What's interesting is like there's a multitude of other ways. Like you could find someone and commission the work, but
Right?
right? But instead you were like, yeah, I'm gonna make this one. It's cool. Even though I have all these kids and we're putting together the dental office, like off I go to
Right.
paint now,
Oh,
husbands.
yeah. Full delusion.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh. That's so amazing. It's totally something I would do. Because I think when we get these ideas, like my husband calls me a pit bull. So he says, when you have an idea that you know you want, it's like, and you can't shake me away, like off of
Right.
it. So, and I think it takes a lot of grit and determination and really like delusional thinking. Like when I find myself thinking, who am I to do this? That's when I know I'm in it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know you're in it? Like, what comes to you, like, when you're thinking? And also when you're thinking this, and also, tell me about some other delusional moments, things that you're like, "I've gotta be delusional to do this or that."
Well, opening the gallery for sure. I mean, that's fast forward like, and that was just 2.5 years ago. The first painting was, it was 2018, I think.
Yeah, that's not that
Um,
long ago.
so, but other smaller things like just either walking into a space or cold calling a gallery, a brewery, or anywhere I see space on the walls or art on the walls. I mean, that is something that well before I opened the gallery, I just looked around and I would ask every place I went in, do you rotate your art? Can I show you my work? I think awesome in here. Could I hang it up for a month? Or, just approaching, just asking a lot and doing that in ways.
Yeah, being able to just walk in and go, "Hey, I think my art is the solution for you. Hey, I actually think this."
Right. And in different spaces, I was able to do that differently. There was a brewery that I found the owner's email on the website and said, I love your badass brewery and I think my badass art would fit so well in here.
And did they do it?
Oh yeah, they had my art on their walls. Like my art was the only art in there for about a year.
That's so awesome. So I want to talk more about like how you manage all of those parts of your lives or of your life, like being a single mom and a gallery owner and all of the things that you do because you're not like you really are involved in the community. But first, I still want to talk about this idea that Delulu is the Salulu. Like, how have you really embraced this phrase to not just be like, I'm using delusional thinking to do this, but like the actual solution, like the superpower solution for the things that you do.
I think maybe as I started to get a little bit of evidence that blazing forward with something that seemed impossible got me to the next step. And then I look back and I'm like, whoa, I just accomplished the impossible. And then blazing forward to the next thing and then look back and go, oh, I just accomplished that thing. And so, I mean, like anything where we're building self-trust, where we start to have evidence that doing it this way, there actually is something to that. And for me, I think part of that was learning to trust my gut and just go for it. After most of my life being in a community and family and upbringing and all of these voices in my head telling me your feelings don't matter, logic is king, right? sit down and analyze, think through this, and all of the other voices just saying you're. I mean, part of it from a religious standpoint of using verses like
Mhm.
your heart is deceitful and evil above all things or whatever that verse is. And I'm serious. Like
What?
I'm serious of teachings that made me feel like the thing that I want is wrong. And for me, if I want to create
Mhm.
something that is not, what the church says I should be doing as service to someone else, that's selfish and wrong. And I lived most of
Mm.
my life with that as a belief. And so starting to make art because I wanted to make art felt selfish and wrong at first. And so starting to, make decisions like this is what my gut is telling me to do, but logical brain says this is crazy. What are you thinking? That was definitely not a given. But it's sort of like a muscle. I've learned to, I've worked it. I've worked it out. It's getting stronger to where by the time I opened the gallery, I had a lot of people asking for a lot of things of me, other artists wanting to show their work here, people wanting classes and lessons. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to run it. But by the time I opened the gallery about 2.5 years ago, I had learned enough to say, okay, if it's not a hell yes, it's no, or not right now. But this space here is going to be a hell yes space.
Yes. I like that as a filter. And I actually think like most of the time we probably want to be operating from that anyway. Like if it's I think I just heard a podcast, was listening to a podcast the other day and it was like, yeah, if it's not a hell yes for me, it's a no. It was like a way to like filter out opportunities, like when to say yes to opportunities. And there was like this little 4-point check, which actually totally makes sense. And yes, it's analytical, but like ultimately, if it doesn't feel like a hell yes, then it really is a no.
Or not right now. Like set it to the side. It might be later.
Right. Cause you might decide later, I do want to do classes or teach art, or whatever.
Sure.
But for right now, it's a no.
Right. I did a few of them and found out like, no, it's not my thing.
Do people ask you, they're like, do people think you're crazy for like not having the art classes? Cause that makes sense to me. Like, oh, you
Oh,
have this space. You
100%.
should have classes.
Yes. Yes, that is something that is. I mean, there are people even with a sense of entitlement. Like you're the only art space in town. How can you not have lessons for my kids? How can you not offer
Oh,
lessons to
fun.
me because I want to learn to paint?
Because it's a no right now.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting that using that as like, yeah, I feel really confident that it's a no for right now. I'm so sorry. I hope you can get it someplace else.
And I help them. I have a page on my website, resources, other people who are teaching other classes in the area. I will recommend everyone who's doing that and loves doing that.
Yeah. I want to touch on really quickly because I thought of something while you were talking. This idea or this like religious idea that like if we're doing something for ourselves, then it's selfish.
Mhm.
And I have a friend, and I don't know when I heard it from her, like a couple years ago. She goes, "Oh, I just believe that God wants what I want." And I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute." Because if you are religious, you are taught that you have to like go to God and ask, "What is
Mhm.
it that you want me to do?"
Right.
All of those
Yes.
things. Okay. So but so I think it is a conversation if you are religious and you do have a relationship with God. I think it is a conversation. Like I am this way, but I also believe that God wants what I want. And so that what I want is the same because it feels good. Like I am inspired, and so he must want it too. Of course. Because I feel this pull to do this thing,
Right.
and so, yeah, God wants what I want, or the universe is like arranging itself for me because I am doing the thing that I know I want to be doing, even if it feels completely delusional, even if you other people outside of me have never seen this before, even if I'm doing it in such a different way, and it can work.
Yeah.
There are so many different ways to make things work.
Yes. And I've seen it more since opening the gallery. So before opening the gallery, I had sold some art between, so maybe a year after I did the dental office, a couple people asked me to paint commissions, and then I started reaching out to shops with some of my other work. So I had sold some work, but I didn't have the same experience of having someone walk into my space and take in my work and be affected by it. And so since opening the gallery, I see how my work, something I've created, does something it gives something to this person who walks in, stands in front of this piece, tears up, and their friend is standing there and says, "What do you see in it?" And he says, "It just moves me." Or somebody else who comes in and finds connection with another piece and finds healing in it. Like they're in the process of healing and they see that my work is not representational. It's not like, I've painted scars and bandages and healing, it's not. It's somebody will see that in something completely abstract. And seeing the way that my physical artwork serves people is this huge confirmation of what you're saying. There is a reason why I want to paint. There is a reason why this is inside of me and it wants to get out. It's because it does something for someone else. It helps somebody. I've had people, collectors who have multiple pieces in there, and I ask them what they see in it or what it does for them, how they connect to it. And the responses are insanely humbling. Like when they tell me they feel like they just bought when they buy my painting. That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. But none of that happens if you don't put yourself out there, go and do the thing that everyone else thinks you're crazy for doing.
Right. It's true.
Right?
Yep.
So tell us what you have created with this. Like, I don't even know when this phrase came up for you, but tell me what you have created with your delusional thinking. Because I find it really inspiring. And this doesn't, I don't think any of these things are like simple solutions. Oh yeah, I thought it and then it was boom, done. There's always like the gamut of emotions, the determination, the grit that's there, the work involved. And I think some things come easier than others. And I think that some things that we think will be easy surprise us and they're not.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So tell us what you've created and you can comment on any of those things. Because I love it. I love this part.
Okay, well, I got my work into a couple New York galleries, got into a show in New York. That was my first show I ever did. That was delusional to just apply to this thing in the Hamptons instead of start with some little local thing. Then before I opened my gallery, I was just applying to galleries left and right. I would just get online and look at places and look through their artists and see if it looked like my work would fit, and I would approach them. So I worked with a Toronto gallery. They showed my work in Paris, and people are like, how did that happen? And I'm just like, I just asked. I just went and searched, found places that show art, found galleries, and sold my most expensive piece out of a New York gallery. And the way that happened was after my Hamptons show, I just walked in a few different galleries. I said, "This is my last day here. I have all my artwork in my car. Would you like to see any of it?" And one of the gallerists was like, "Sure, show me what you got." And she took down this big piece off her gallery wall and put my painting up there. And that was delusional.
Amazing. I like the trunk. Look what I got in my trunk.
Exactly. Come out. Like, have my trench coat.
I have something in my car you're going to want to see.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I did not fit in the Hamptons at all, but I was there. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah,
Go
and
for
it
it.
doesn't matter because you were there, right?
Yeah. Oh, and then probably the most delusional, seeing this space for lease here. My town is less than 3,000 people. And I saw a for lease sign in the window, and I was like, oh, my art needs to be in there. And of course, the other side of my brain is like, you are crazy. That's nuts.
Mhm.
You can't have
Mhm.
an art gallery in Bonners Ferry, Idaho, Hannah. I was like, I know, I'm doing it anyway.
I know, and then the other part of you is like, "And yes, yes, we are."
Right. Here we go.
Yeah, come along on our new adventure.
Exactly.
Sometimes sometimes I think of these things and I'm like, "Oh, Brie, come on. Like, what are you thinking? Please don't think of any more new things for
No
us to
more,
do.
no more new ideas.
Please. No
Yeah,
more new crazy sounding ideas."
right. Oh yeah.
And since you've been there, you've sold thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in art.
Yes. I broke 100,000 in sales of my art. I think that was July that I realized, hey, I've sold more than dollars of my art since opening my. That was
It's
that was
amazing.
a crazy fun moment and realization.
Yeah. Can we just celebrate with it? Woo.
Woo!
And where are you headed now with your delusional thinking? I think you posted the other day, like, I forget what you wanted. Tell us because I want to cheer you on with my own delusional thinking.
All right, let's go. Selling $1 million of my art by my 50th birthday.
How many
So
years do you have to do that?
so I am 44 and a half. So we've got 5.5 years. Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, I'm going to just be real with you. That doesn't feel so delusional right now because the path that I'm on and the
Mm.
work that I'm doing every day to move me closer to that, now it seems like a given. Of course I will. Of course I'll sell $1 million of my art by my 50th birthday.
Yeah. And you guys, that's the secret is like to already be the person that sells $1 million by the time she's 50, right? So like when we decide, oh yeah, oh, when our delusional thinking is like on, it's like full speed ahead. I like to do this where I tune into like who is the person that gets that thing or like has already accomplished it or done the thing or whatever.
Right.
And that actually it does shrink the timeline. I think you can get it faster
Yeah.
even when you become the person instead of like, oh, when I'm 50, I'll be that person, right?
Right.
And it's helpful with the delusional thinking, like, yeah, I'm already that person. That is delusional thinking in itself, too. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, and part of another delusional moment along the way was so maybe a year into owning the gallery, I realized that I was saying this all the time. Every time I'd have to do business stuff, I'm like, I suck at this. I don't know how to
Mm.
run a business. I don't know what I'm doing. I just screwed up this thing on my taxes. Or, like, for example, I didn't know that I needed a business license for the city of Bonners Ferry. And I opened up. They came knocking a while later, like, excuse me. No, but so something I started saying to myself was, I'm a badass businesswoman. So I was like, I don't want to be terrible at business. I I want to be great at business. And then like a year later, I had 3 businesses around town coming and asking me to either help them with their marketing or their, setting up monetization on their social media or these different things. Just like, oh, I I put in the work and now I'm a badass
Mhm.
businesswoman.
This is amazing because it's using the power of our minds to actually create what we want. Now, I'm not, if I decided I was going to be like an NBA basketball player, like star, whatever, I have some physical limitations, but
Sure.
beyond that, beyond that, I can literally decide what I want to do, who I want to be, where I want to go and do it. You know, like right
Right.
now, we're in the middle of selling our house and And then we're going to go live in Airbnbs. And I think my friends are all like, that's kind of delusional. That's weird. Don't you want to have a home base? Like, are you sure? And I'm like, no, it's going to be fantastic. But I don't know anybody else doing this thing. Not that it's a big deal, but like I like my house. It's really comfortable here. And so giving that up to go do this other thing that we just like whoop thought up,
Yeah.
you know, is I think it's kind of a big deal. But yeah, like it's happening.
Right. So then you come up with the idea, and then you got to do the nitty-gritty thing of listing your house and doing, all the steps in between to make the vision happen, to bring the Delulu to life.
Yes. We need like we need a little phrase for that. How to bring the Delulu
Right.
to life.
I feel like a lot of creatives are, so frustrated that they're not selling their work. They have this idea of like you can't make a living as an artist, but they're not doing the work to, get their work in front of people. They're not doing the part. If they want to sell art, they're not learning how to sell things. They're not. I see this a lot, and I want to encourage other artists and how to do that. And part of that is the mind work of learning to value what you create. That's a big part of it. But that's been way more challenging to me than creating the art itself, is learning how to sell it, learning how to have a business, do marketing, promotion, all of that stuff.
Yeah, outreach. Yeah. The big thing is just doing the mind work to believe it's possible. Because I think if we're like, I can't make money with my work, then I think we've already limited ourselves and what's possible for ourselves because we're not going to go do it,
Absolutely.
you know? Yeah. And sometimes we tell ourselves that because it feels really safe. And we know that we don't have to go do the work that's next, which is like being seen, which is learning new things. I mean, I think for sure a big one is being seen
Being
because
seen, being
Mhm.
rejected a
that
lot,
too. Mhm.
hearing a lot of no's.
Yeah. And being okay with it.
Right.
We're learning to be okay with it and then moving on. Well, it was a no for that person, but this person over here was a total yes. So
Yeah.
this is also good. Do you have any last words on being delusional? Because I do want to talk about how you're managing all of it.
I think my next thing that I need to do actually has to do with my work itself. And this year I have created a lot of safe work.
Mm.
In one way, it's been fabulous. I've had a lot of big commissions this year, which is amazing because you create something, you get paid for it. Whereas a lot of my paintings, I created them 3 years ago, they just now sold. And there's no guarantee. This might sit here for another 10 years before it sells. But I think the next is to push with some of those big things that are inside of me and create sort of my next body of work that pushes the envelope a little bit. It's not safe. It's not like, oh, I know if this it's going to sell. And so I think that's and a piece of that is painting my kids, portraits of my kids, and I've just sort of started to dip my toe into that. That's something and that feels super scary and intimidating. So I think that's my next challenge is with the artwork itself.
And it is a little challenging when we're selling the work, the safe work, the stuff we've already created that that you can just make,
Mhm.
and then we have this new, like I felt this in my own work, which is like, wait, what's happening here? I'm shifting. Why? No, it's that in between where that where you're feeling like that time is over and it's time to move into something new, but you're not sure how you're going to receive it even. Like
Right.
I'm like, I don't even know how I'm receiving this. Um, and what are other people going to think? And, it's all of those things, but there's no growth in the staying and continuing to make the safe stuff. Hannah, you can continue to make the safe stuff because that's fun too.
Oh, it is so much fun to be able to pay my gallery rent and to put gas in my car and to feed my kids.
Yeah.
And I am incredibly thankful for that work that I get to do that connects with people. And I don't discount that whatsoever. But there's this other piece that needs to be pursued. And it might be terrible. It might fail. But I tell other artists this all the time. You have to make a lot of bad art to get to the good art.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like with my 9-year-old self of being frustrated that I create something amazing. First time I ever used this kind of paint, I gotta just do it.
Yes, you're going to use that delusional thinking to like move forward into the what's next. I think there's space for all of it. And also I think it takes delusional thinking to raise your prices to be like, "Hey, I want $1,000 more actually."
Yep.
That's how you get paid.
Exactly. And believing that the work for me has been, a few years ago, I didn't see the value of what my art does for somebody. It was just, the value of maybe my time, my materials, my eye, how the composition. And so it's like, okay, I can see somebody paying $1,000 for this. It's this great big thing. But now I understand that the value I create, the thing you're paying me for, it's not my time, it's not my materials, it's not even the years of experience, although all of that goes into able to make this piece. But you're paying me for what this painting does for you, what it unlocks inside of you, what it brings to your home. Like it might be a challenge to you every day, sort of like a vision board. There are people who've bought my paintings because it looks like where they want to go and they want to expand or how they want to heal. And looking at this thing every day makes them believe that that's possible. We're all different. All different things. But that's what somebody's paying me for. It's not my time and materials.
I agree. And I wish more of us thought that way,
Yeah.
I wish more of the world thought that way.
Right.
Actually. Yeah. So how are you able to not just manage, because the word I want to say is manage, but like how are you able to thrive in this kind of new environment that you've created for yourself with making work, owning the gallery, 4 kids, I forget how old they are, you should tell us. Like all of the things that you're doing, how are you managing to thrive in that space? Because I think a lot of people would feel like, "Oh, I'm just keeping my head above water," but actually I really think that you're a great example of the thriving.
I don't have great balance. I will say that.
Nobody feels ever equal. I'm going to say this. Hang on a second. Nobody ever feels like equal. It's just like, oh, I notice. And now let me like move into this pace. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm feeling out of balance here. Let me like, what do I need to do to tend that? So sorry, I
Yeah.
digress, but go ahead.
No, since opening the gallery, when I first opened, I was open 6 days a week, and now I went down to 5. My house is a 1970s remodel in progress, and so I realized I need 2 days out of the gallery to both maybe just take a breath and slow down for a minute, and also to work a house. Oh, yeah. You asked how old my kids are. They are 14, 16, 20, and 21. So my older 2 are out in the world doing their thing. And I still, so my son, he's stationed in Anchorage. He's in the Army. So when he comes home, he's here for 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever. Set things aside as much as possible to just hang out and spend time. With the 2 that are here at home, they are both in sports. And so that's sort of my main thing is like being there for as much of the games and track meets and all of these things as possible. And knowing that, it's been such a transition for all of us, my kids and me, for me to not be a stay-at-home mom, because I was for up until divorce, and that was 5 years ago. So that's all been very different, and just knowing that it's okay that it doesn't look like what I thought it would.
Mhm.
And it's okay, giving up some of the things that I maybe was strict on or felt like were necessary to have a happy family or to have happy relationships with my kids, like making dinner, sitting down to dinner every night together. That's how they grew up, and that's not where we are right now, and that's okay. It's okay that while I'm at work during the summer, my Ford walks and gets pizza for lunch like multiple days a week, and that's okay. You know, um,
Yeah.
and getting to, I don't know, maybe loosen my grip on my view as a mom and what I think it needs to be, and instead be a little bit more open to just knowing each one of them is so different, and the thing that worked for us a year ago might not be the same thing, and see where that can be. Like with my oldest, she's a silversmith among things, and so I get to sell her jewelry out of my gallery.
Amazing.
And so just allowing some of the time that we spend together, we're going to talk about our businesses, and when she was making her website and asked how I did this, and then having some of the time that we spend together, it's different than it used to look like. It's okay. Um,
I mean, I think that's helpful. Like you're doing this thing and she is, I think, so I think when, as my kids have gotten older from the time they're 16, I just become like someone to counsel with and a mentor. Like I'm not like the boss of you anymore. And so when my kids call me and they're like, can I talk through something? I'm like, yes. So
right. Yeah.
what's your experience with this? And so you being able to offer that, actually, I think it's even better, you know? I think this way is like even better. And them not having you around for every single little thing is probably even better because then they learn independence and you figuring out like, okay, these are the boundaries that I want to have with work. I actually see you like you're in the gallery painting a lot and you have an assistant. And so knowing, oh, this is where I want to get help. And
Right.
like, I know that you and I have talked before, or I've seen you at least mention having support systems in place is a really useful, helpful thing because you and I, you know, we're in a program where we get coached. So like we have a mentor and she can help us like think about things differently. And we know, so I think even just a big part of feeling like, oh, I'm feeling more in balance because we know where to get help from when things don't feel quite right and being more intentional about um, our time, our energy, the things that we're doing and knowing what to focus on. And so you're like, yeah, I'm building my gallery but that's not all. Like you have kids, you have all the other things. And so and I see you being really intentional with that. And I think that's an amazing place to be.
Trying to, and I say all the time that my kids are my everything, the most important thing to me, and I want to I want to be living my life in a way to feel that, and I know it doesn't always come through. I mean, I know there are things that I do that make them mad or whatever. Like, my son was the second day of school and he's like, I haven't eaten anything all day because I didn't have any lunch money, and I'm like, sorry I let you down, but you didn't ask for lunch money. I thought you
Right.
were just going to eat the free school lunch. Like, we didn't have a conversation. So, so I'm sure he feels at that moment like, my mom
Yeah.
didn't even give me, whatever. There are many, many, many opportunities, I'm sure, where my kids don't feel it, but I am trying to be intentional with letting them know, like, yes, even though, yeah, this is a business, and I'm not gonna just close my doors every time, you have this whim where you feel like you need me right this second. Like, but what you said about them being independent, yeah, it was like night before the first day of school, and my son was super overwhelmed. He's starting high school, and it's like,
Mhm.
what can I do to help you? Do you want me to do your laundry for you? I can fold it. And he was like, you would do that for me? Because he does his own laundry. You know, he's been doing his own laundry for years. And, and, you know, for me offering to set my chores aside and do this for him, he was so touched. And what 14-year-old boy appreciates their mom doing their laundry?
Right. Since they were 10, that's what I told my kids to do. And I was a stay-at-home mom, and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have time for that. You like, yeah, your clothes are dirty. You make sure it happens for you." I mean, that's part of our job is to like help them learn these
Right.
things anyway. But I want to say like having the space in your life where you're like, I can set this stuff down and help you is so huge. Being able to know or to like be in tune with, oh, he needs this and I can come back to this later. My schedule isn't so tight that nothing can go wrong right now.
And the fact of the matter is, yes, I am pretty strict with sticking to my hours, and so having an assistant here when I'm not able to be. However, at the same time, when my daughter calls me that she needs a ride to the ER, I stick a note on my door and I'm
Yes.
out. And that's something that creating this life here in order to serve what's most important to me, like that is something that I'm working on intentional about.
I think it's a great place to end. This is a really great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, setting aside some time to chat and telling us about your successes. I know you were like, oh, I have to tell you about all the things I've done. What? Really, I think the last thing that I'll say about this is being delusional is not only is it the solution, but it's actually really fun to be the person that is creating new things when no one else is. And I find a lot of satisfaction in that. It's not always easy work. It does take a lot of determination, but it is some of the most fun I've ever had.
I agree. Fully agree.
All right, you guys. Delulu is the Salulu. I'm going to put all of Hannah's information. Her website is all going to be like down in the notes. So go check out her work and go follow her on Instagram. And is there anything else that you want to say or want to invite people to before we sign off?
I think maybe anybody that's listening and sort of like has that thing of like, I'm not doing, I don't know, to just allow yourself to go, like maybe one of Amber's questions, if all things were possible, what would I love?
Mhm.
And maybe thinking of it in just today, like, what would I love today? And then also kind of a future thing 5 years from now. I think it's a fun thing to play with.
Yeah, we did this yesterday in her group. What would I love in 5 years? What does that look like? What would I love in 1 year? And
Yep.
so that's really fun to think about. Like, yeah, because so many more things that we think are actually possible when we allow ourselves to be in that place where we're opening up to new possibilities. So yeah, thank you for that.
I'm
So
proof
good.
of that.
Yes, you are. Woo! Yes, you are. All right. Thanks, Hannah. And thank you, everyone, for joining me on this first guest episode of The Complete Creative. And chat with you next time.